This is an exclusive presentation of WOWO 1190 AM and 107.5 FM, Unholstered, giving you an in-depth look at all the stories, events, and topics that show how our officers serve and fight for our community every single day.
Good afternoon. Welcome on in here to Unholstered. My name is Kayla Blakesley. I am just one of your hosts here on the show. During the week, I host my own radio program in Northeast Indiana on WOWO. But during the weekends, I have the pleasure of hosting this show alongside my co-host, Sophia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sophia Rosales-Scatina. I'm a captain with the Fort Wayne Police Department, and welcome to Unholstered.
Sophia, I think with everything going on this past week with Russia and Ukraine and some ongoing legislation here in our state, there's just been a lot of craziness. So I said to you, can we do something that's, positive and inspiring and uplifting? And just, last week's was a really heavy topic that we covered on Unholstered as well. We talked about police killings being up, which, by the way, if you missed that episode, you can download any episode of Unholstered where you can download podcasts. It was probably by far one of my most favorite episodes in just terms of straight up awareness about, police killings and what y'all go through in terms of ambushes, just those numbers being through the roof right now. But I digress. I do want to move on to a lighter, positive note. So what did you bring us today?
Well, knowing that we had such heavy topics this past few weeks and knowing everything that's going on and everyone's just on edge, everyone has a lot of anxiety, a lot of curiosity about what's happening around the world. So I thought I'd bring in my friends from the Three Rivers Yoga Foundation. Today I brought board members Leslie Williams and Jennifer Mills. And everyone's heard me talk about yoga extensively on this program, how it saved my career and how it's just so awesome and enlightening, and I'm just a better person when I do it. So I thought I'd share with everybody this week in particular, because of the amount of stress everyone's been under, that we'd bring you some people with some good advice for you to take out of here and maybe get you into a class or two so you can see how beneficial it will be for you. But for now, I want to let these ladies introduce themselves. Ladies?
Hi, my name's Jennifer Mills. I'm a board member of the Three Rivers Yoga Foundation. I'm also a teacher at the Baptiste Power Yoga Fort Wayne. I've been teaching yoga for about 8 years now.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Williams, and I'm also a board member of the Three Rivers Yoga Foundation and a co-owner along with Sarah Evans of Baptiste Power Yoga Fort Wayne, located on 1301 Lafayette Street.
How do these things all fit together, the Baptiste Yoga Studio and then the Three Rivers Yoga Foundation? How does that all work together?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Baptiste Power Yoga Fort Wayne and the Three Rivers Yoga Foundation are two separate things. So the Three Rivers Yoga Foundation was created to give our community access to yoga that wouldn't normally have access. And the Baptiste Power Yoga Fort Wayne hosts a donation-based class every Friday night. So the yoga studio supports the Three Rivers Yoga Foundation in that way.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So it's like the donated space then. And so let's say I took that class, I could just give a monetary donation?
Yeah, we ask for a $5 minimum donation, and that supports us in scholarshiping for yoga teachers and also so education, and then also paying teachers to go and teach out in the community. Places such Boys and Girls Club, the 122nd Air Base, things like that.
I would love to watch that yoga class at the 122nd Air Base.
It's one of my favorite things to teach.
That just painted a mental picture for me. That's great. Sophia, how do you fit into all this?
So I remember, I think I talked about my crash in 2016, and that's how I kind of stumbled upon Three Rivers Yoga Foundation. They were hosting the Heroes Yoga class, and it had been going on prior to this crash I had, but this is what the catalyst that brought me into yoga.
Had you heard of it prior to your
I had
crash?
not.
Okay.
I only heard of it. It was actually at a time when I needed it most, so I was just coming off of that injury. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get back to work because I didn't have the flexibility, mobility, or strength on my left side because of my injury to get out of my car. So someone had told me about Heroes Yoga, so I thought I'd go, and Jen Mills was teaching it, and she is just an amazing teacher and just taught me so much mentally, spiritually, and then it just helped me fine-tune my body and get my strength back, my mobility back. I'm not 100% yet. I don't know that I ever will be, but it's got me to the point where I can come back and do the thing I love. So basically, Three Rivers Yoga saved my career.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
It
Sophia.
is. It is.
I want to talk about that spiritually and mentally. Walk us through your typical, I guess, yoga class experience and how you do change someone's life. Like Sophia just said, it saved her career.
One of the things that I love, and thank you for asking that question, Kayla, is that yoga, it binds together the physicality and the spirituality, mental aspect together. And it allows us through the physicality of a practice to open your mind to a meditative state that like allows you to think and it empowers you. It brings
allows
in
you to just be.
Yeah.
Right?
It gives us mental space to create something new, to like just believe more in yourself, to know that anything is possible if you just step into it.
Yeah, and it's so true because when you start there, I mean, when I started there, obviously I was really not able to do a lot of stuff. Just because of my injury. Physically, yes. And mentally, too. You know, I just wasn't in a good place. I was at a point where I thought I was going to have to end my career. So stepping into that, you know, and listening and taking in those inquiries, the questions that they bring forth in the class, during the class, some kind of, they call it conversational focus, is woven into the practice. So they're talking about things you should think about as you, even when you leave there and take into your everyday life. So it's just really a mind-opening class. But the physical part is hard too because it's hot yoga. So you're sweating out stuff, you're leaving stuff there, and it's okay to leave it there. And that's what I like about it. I go in, I take all my troubles of the day, of the week, of the month, if I haven't been there for a while, and I can practice and sweat it out. And then at the end of my practice, my mind is just clear for some reason. I'm sure it's everything we're doing.
Oh, and I can chime into that. So we talk a lot about in yoga that yoga taps into the parasympathetic nervous system. So your rest and digest system. You know, most of us spend our time in our sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. And that's what yoga gives you access to, is calming that fight or flight and touching that rest and digest by breath, by being present, you know, just relaxing your body. So I'm sure a lot of that is why you leave in a different state of mind.
Yeah, and for officers, I'm here to tell you, it's just life-changing. Because we're constantly in this state of alert. We're constantly in this hyper-vigilant state. And then just to have somewhere where you can just relax and get that out is just so great. And I can't say enough about it.
Can you give me an example? Maybe it's a question for Jennifer since you're an instructor. I don't know. But Sophia, you mentioned you're having these like conversations kind of. They ask you questions through this. What are we talking about here? You know, I'll be honest with you. I can count on one hand how many times I've taken a yoga class, and I've had great experiences every time I take them. But it's not something I do like Sophia on a regular basis. So I'm walking into this conversation here pretty clueless, if you can't tell.
The Baptiste methodology is the physical practice, meditation is part of it, and the inquiry part. So the inquiry is like, how am I showing up? What's not working for me? What is working for me? A teacher might walk into a class and have a theme, and the theme of the day might be, let's say, presence. And then we will go through the yoga class and we might start talking about, well, where in your life are you not present? You know, are you not present in your relationships? Or if you're not present now, where are you? You might have trailed off, gone down the rabbit hole. So it's just a constant, and then the yoga practice brings you back to the meditation. That's the really cool part of it, because by getting into your body, if you're focusing on your breath, or you're focusing on your drishti, which is where your eyes are looking, it's really hard to be distracted. It's really hard to go down that rabbit hole. So that, you know, that could be one thing that's brought in.
It sounds okay. I've been a runner my entire life. More recently, over the past couple of years, I've been getting into cycling. But for me, those are physical activities that you do solo. You know, that I find sometimes running, I've been a marathon runner my whole life, really mentally challenging in its own way, because it's only you and the pavement for, 20 plus miles. But when it comes to yoga, there's something to me about it that seems like it's like a really vulnerable experience. Do you have men and women, or Sophia, I don't know, maybe you can talk to this too, that come up to you maybe afterwards or during, that just, you're I don't know, you're kind of mentally spent to some degree from being so vulnerable?
It can end up like that. There are moments where you're invited to open your heart, and that's up to you. That's like
How much you want to give. Whatever you give is what you'll get out of it.
Whatever you want to give. It's just like when running. Like there's that moment, for me, because I'm not a marathon runner, it's about that 3-mile point where I'm like, okay, do I keep going? And then there's this mental discussion that goes on about whether or not you can keep putting one foot against, in front of each other, and then you get through that.
Right.
The same thing happens in yoga. The same kind of concept of, am I giving enough? Is there more to give here? Do I need to ease off? And it's each individual person. But the word yoga means to yoke, to create community.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's fun in that you can do an individual practice, and we encourage that. But it's also just amazing to come to one of the Three Rivers yoga community classes on a Friday night and see 20, 30 people in there all coming together. Various abilities, some children, some older people, and people just having a good time and just loving on each other.
So you can be any age, any gender, it doesn't matter, and go take the classes?
Doesn't matter.
Obviously
Doesn't
not the
matter.
ones
Fully
you take,
integrated.
right, Sophia?
So the Hero Yoga is on Tuesdays from 4:15 to 5:15. That is open to police, fire, medics, dispatchers, first responders, and military veterans. So that's focused into those groups and their spouses. So anybody that has that, they can come to that class.
How important, especially at a time like right now, we just said it as we started this show. Things have been awful. Not only the last
Crazy.
week, but really the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We've just been in a constant state kind of that fight or flight mentality. A lot of us sitting on the sidelines feeling helpless. There's nothing we can do. And that in itself can be a mental challenge for a lot of people. So just how important overall, not only to get your body moving, but also your mind moving. How important is something like this right now for everyday Americans?
It's extremely important. I think mental health right now, where everyone's suffering in one way or another. Our kids are suffering, our police and first responders are suffering. Just as human beings, we're suffering because, we've just had 2 years of constant barrage of negativity, of things that are just not normal, that people have gone through. Changes. Nobody likes change, but we've had so much change. Wear a mask one day, don't wear a mask one day. You can come and get out of your house one day, but don't go to big groups. Nobody knows what to do anymore, and it just gets frustrating. And I think it's brought out a lot of issues mentally with people. So just having a place where you can go and kind of find a little solace, if it's only for an hour, but I think when you leave there, you just leave a better person and a better state of mind, knowing what you can and can't do. And sometimes, you may surprise yourself as you kind of go along with yoga. I'm still battling this crow pose that I'm just, it's driving
Can you
me
demonstrate
crazy.
for us, Sophia, your crow pose?
But I've gotten further along as we go along. I've gotten further, and I've gotten my left leg up just a little bit more each time. So I'm hoping, in the next couple months, I could just really hit that pose. That's my goal. I know these ladies know it now, but that's been my goal. So I just want everyone to know, just as you take a breath, even if you don't do yoga, try to sit back and have some moments of reflection and be present where you are. You can do that anywhere. You can do that in your car. Put down your phone, put down the distractions of your devices and your computers, and just take a moment to sit in where you are and enjoy what's around you. Enjoy your children, enjoy your spouse or your significant other, enjoy your home, enjoy your backyard. You can do these simple things that just allow you to have a little bit of peace.
Jennifer, this whole time Sophia's talking, you just sat there and nodded your head. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I remember when I first met Sophia, and back at the other yoga studio, and just I love teaching the first responders. It's like one of my, I feel like I'm called to do that, and it's so about empowering the students. And like she said, yoga can be done anywhere, really. It can be done in the car. You can box breathe, which is a great, we like to teach that to children. So you inhale.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, box breathing, it's great. So you literally would visualize a box, or it creates a box. So inhale for the count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for the count of 4, hold for a count of 4. And you just keep, kids can even trace it with their fingers. But it's a great way to just calm that fight or flight system. It can be done anywhere, grocery store. I mean, I know I've sat in the car and like been frustrated with traffic, and I can hear myself breathe at, like, I'm doing my Ujjayi breath, which is the breath we teach in a yoga class. And I'll hear myself just automatically start up. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like ingrained now.
I actually had a student tell me Monday that she was in an MRI and had to lay there. And she's like, I used my yoga breathing principles to just calm myself, to allow me to like lay there for 25 minutes, which was amazing. And that's one of the things I just love the most about yoga, is that we teach in Baptiste, the style of yoga that we teach, is that you can take what you practice on your mat out. Like what Sophia said, into your car. You like learn these things. You learn how to calm your mind, how to calm those racing thoughts that
And that
make
is
us
so
want to flee.
important for people right now.
It
Learning
is,
how
and
to do
especially
that.
with first responders. We train with tactical breath, and that's what the Ujjayi breath is. It's a tactical breath. It's a warrior's breath. So you have to learn how to calm your body. If you're hurt, if you're shot, you're injured, you're bleeding, you really need to slow your heartbeat down so you don't bleed out. These are practices that officers can take into the field with them that calm themselves in certain situations so they don't cross a line that they can't take back, calm themselves if they've been injured or hurt. It's just, there's so many things you can take off of the mat into your everyday life. Then that's why I find this such a mentally, for me, a mentally, spiritually aware practice that I can do anywhere.
How did you two ladies get involved in this world?
So, good question. So years ago, my mentor and teacher invited me into a training. I tried to get out of it, but
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm too busy. I can't do this. And she was like, there's never going to be the perfect time.
Yeah.
So I did it. It was hard, and I tell you, I would not be sitting here the same person without it.
Wow.
It has changed my life.
Man, you sound like Sophia.
Yeah, given me community. Yeah, because the yoga principles don't go away when you leave the yoga room. They're always with you. And I'm always looking how to grow. How can I be a better person for my family? How can I be a better person to my friends, the community? It's just always there. And I thank God.
So she pulled you into this class and you just were hooked?
Yeah. She had to talk me into the yoga room because I started on the fitness side of this place. And so she had to talk me into the yoga room. I was like, okay. And
now here you are an instructor.
And then I took training, and here I am helping facilitating training. And I love it.
I started because a friend of mine was doing a teacher training and needed someone to practice on. And so she's like, hey, will you be my student? And I'm like, well, I don't really do yoga. I'm a runner. I like lifting weights. Yoga, no, thank you. And she's like, come on, I need someone to teach. So I did that. I thought I'll be of support to her. And so I went to her classes when she first started teaching, and she practiced on me. And then there was this moment that it clicked. It literally was an aha moment. I thought, I feel so much better when I leave that room after an hour's practice. I feel great physically, and it's actually can be a very difficult physical practice so that you're really spent at the end of it. Or it can be a slow flow class where it's just a deep stretching. So there's a variety of yoga classes that you can take. But I would leave and I would just feel renewed and ready to tackle my day or ready to tackle my evening, or you sleep better at night because of that mind-body connection.
If someone's listening right now and they're like, maybe you, Jennifer, back in the day, no, I'm not going to do yoga. Or you, Leslie, no, I'm a runner. I'm not going to do it. I don't have time for that. What would you say to someone who's thinking that right now?
Your life might just be changed if you just
that's what you all three have said.
Yeah, just take one yoga class. And it can be done in a chair. It can be done, it can be all the way from a chair to full power. So anybody can do it. It's accessible to anybody. It just looks different ways.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. If someone does want to get involved, how can they go about getting involved?
Yeah, so like Sophia said, on Tuesdays at Baptiste Power Yoga Fort Wayne, hosted by Three Rivers Yoga Foundation, every Tuesday at 4:15 is a free class for first responders, military veterans, and healthcare workers. Friday nights at 6 p.m., $5 donation class for the community. We turn down the heat, open the doors. Kids come in, they come in and out, so they're welcome. You can find like our information on threeriversyoga.org. So any events that we're having, places that we're teaching, we scholarship teacher trainers.
Cool.
Yeah, so all kinds of good information that way.
And then Sophia, so you got involved after your crash, 2016. You've obviously been doing it since, but yoga has so much changed your life that you now are becoming an instructor.
I am.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Let the cat out of the bag.
I think it's, again, I just think it goes to this testament of the fact that it's changed your life so much that now you want to be an instructor.
Yeah, it's my turn to give back to
Yeah.
something that's given me so much. So Jen kind of kept hounding during class, like that teacher she had. She has become that for me. So she finally talked me in, and like she said, I myself was, I don't have time for this, and I don't. It's good because it's a lot of time. So it's Saturdays, 12 hours, Sundays, 10 hours, and 3.5 on Wednesdays. So it's a lot of time. And I'm thinking, oh, that's a lot of time away from my kids, a lot of time away from just doing things at home. And I'm like, I don't know that I can do it. But she's like, put in for the scholarship. And I did. I got it. And so I am currently halfway through teacher training, and it has been one of the hardest experiences just emotionally because there's so much more that goes on. We just don't do yoga.
And that's saying a lot, because let's remind people that you are a captain with the Fort Wayne Police Department, and you've been in law enforcement for well over 20 years.
It's hard, but these books, I think this is a leadership class along with just the practice of yoga. It's teaching you how to have good communication with people and see people for who they are, where they are, and try to help them muddle through this world a little bit better than they have been doing. And for me, it's been really eye-opening. The classes, we have about 8 people in our class, and it's very family-oriented. Everyone shares. It's like a vault in there because we're sharing a lot of personal things. And there's been a lot of tears shed. I know the first day I got up, I was reading a passage from a book that probably could have mirrored my life, and I just was in tears and crying. The whole room was crying. It was about a woman who had lost her husband to a heart attack after a short time being married, and I was like, I'm reading my life here.
Yeah.
And so then we had to make a conversational focus out of that. So we had to turn it around to a class. So what can they take away from this passage I'm reading and interpret it? And so it was just really, it was really hard. And it's been hard every weekend emotionally. I'm drained at the end of the day.
What's your hope? Are you going to teach classes then? Are you going to teach the first responders, or?
I would like to help Jen with the first responders. Yeah. She's excited for that. Maybe branch out into a first responder widow yoga as well. They've all agreed to come in and let me practice teach on them. So we're just trying to find a date that works for everybody.
Do you find, Jennifer, when it comes to first responders, especially police officers, do you find there's a little bit of a stigma there? Like these, I think of this big macho police officers going into why are y'all laughing?
It's my favorite. So I was invited a couple of years ago to actually teach at the academy.
No kidding.
And they
That's
didn't
cool.
have any choice. This was part of their PT. And I went in there and asked who had done yoga before. And I think one person raised their hand. And I was like, okay, there is a huge stigma. We even had a group from the 122nd come to the yoga studio once, and I taught them a class. And afterwards, they're drenched. Yeah. And they're like, I had no idea that this is what it was. I
thought it was just stretching.
Exactly.
Everybody says that.
That's what you get all the time. Like, it's too flowery or it's just stretching. And that's not what our style of yoga is. It's journey into power is what we call it, the sequence of poses. And It's designed to kind of get you sweaty, wear you out a little bit so that the walls can come down and you can see.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and so I love teaching to the first responders, the police. Yeah, that academy class was one of my favorite classes to go teach.
I tell you what, true story. So my husband, he'd probably kill me actually for sharing this, but my husband, he's over 200 pounds. He's a pretty big dude, and he's a very macho man, super athletic, into sports. And one day he comes, it was pre-pandemic. He comes in, and I don't even know where this idea got planted in his head, but he comes into the house and says, I think I want to take some yoga classes. And I, come again now? We don't do yoga in this family. And we haven't, And so I was just really stunned. And I said, okay, well, go ahead. Like, what am I, like, I'm going to tell him no, right? Well, he started doing yoga classes. He's the only man in this class. He's with all women. And he said most of them were over the age of 50. So he's there with, some older women compared to him. And he said he's also the same thing. It's changed his life. And unfortunately, during COVID, everyone went into lockdown. So there was no yoga. Now instructors were sending out, at-home stuff. He's like, but it's just not the same. And he craved it, could not wait to get back to yoga after the pandemic. And I was like, man, especially after talking to you three, I'm like, maybe there really is something to this, and I'm doing the wrong workouts.
Oh, you need to add it to your workout.
Add it to my workout. There you go. Ladies,
it's just different.
It's been such a pleasure. I've really enjoyed getting to know both of you, and Sophia and you, and sharing your process. I'm glad our listeners have learned this about you, finally, because I know you and I have talked about it a lot.
Yeah, another insight to the weird captain.
Yeah, exactly. Do we know what's happening next week?
We do not.
We do not. I love it when we don't know,
I've been
actually.
so busy this week and just trying to get these ladies out and the dates worked out. But we'll figure out something and just join us and we'll talk about something interesting.
And as always, if you've missed any previous episodes of Unholstered, you can check them out anywhere you can download a podcast. This is your town, your team, your topics. This is Unholstered.
Thanks for listening to Unholstered. Be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen. And remember, you can listen every Saturday morning at 10:30 on WOWO 1190 and 107.5 FM.
Podcasts by Federated Media.